Battery degradation. Is it the money pit we all think it is? Seems to me that a lot of non-EV owners think it is, where EV owners don't seem to worry about it. Let's have a look at this phenomena. So, what is battery degradation? Put it simply, it's the wearing out of your battery in your EV. If you've not got an EV and it's something you've heard said many times in pubs and clubs and whatever, and within your family circle about electric cars and another reason why you shouldn't own one because the batteries don't last, this is why I'm doing this post. Battery degradation is not something that just comes on board and stops the car. Let's make that quite clear. A lot of people seem to think that you'll use the car and then in 3 or 4 or 5 years time it's going to come to a dead stop. Ooh, your battery goes flat, it's completely useless, it's going to cost you £22,000 to £30,000 for a new battery in any EV. Well, let me just hold that thought there, because it's absolute BS. First of all, degradation can happen very, very slowly. There are cars out there, especially the early Teslas, for example. I'm not just because I've got a Tesla, I'm going to use that as an example, but I will. And some Renault Zoes that are actually still completely useful. From 2013, 2014, they've got 200,000 miles on the clock, still got the original battery pack in it. And yes, all they've done is lost a little bit of range. Same as the Renault Zoe, like I've just quoted. I know quite a few of those with 70, 80, 90,000 miles on the clock, and only a small gradual loss of battery. Now, let's put this into perspective. If an engine blows up in an ICE car, it's gone, it's blown, boom. Go into a dealer on a modern new ICE car and get that engine replaced, not under warranty. 6, 8, 10,000 pound, I'll guarantee it. I'll guarantee it for a good quality premium car, like most EVs are. So a battery pack replacement doesn't seem that bad, does it? But that battery replacement is possibly never going to happen in your vehicle, unlike the engine blowing up in an ICE car, which could happen at any time. You know, you are told about your battery degradation with the software on the car, on what's on your screen. You can't find that out in an ICE car. You're just going to start it up one day, you're going to be going down that road, it's going to go bang, smoke, out, boom, piston through the sidewall, job done. That does not happen with a battery pack. A battery pack degrades slowly, like I said, and again, some will never ever lose more than around 10% of their full battery capacity. Now, if you've got a car that does 280 mile on a full charge anyway, you might lose 20, 30 miles over a period of, let's say, I don't know, 5 years, 6 years, 8 years, 10 years. That doesn't really matter to you, does it, too much? It's not stopping you using that car. All you're doing is losing a bit of range. That is degradation. It doesn't just stop your vehicle, it doesn't just pack up. It's not like that. Get that out the window straight away. Degradation can be a very, very slow process over many, many years and many, many miles. So all you do is lose range. That is it, folks. It's as simple as that. And it's done on a percentage, and it's done, you know, but every percent you lose, you're going to lose a couple of miles, and that's the way it normally goes. I hope that gives you an idea of what it's all about, and please, please, please don't believe the hype. Believe in the battery packs, because the battery packs are changing weekly, monthly, yearly, whatever. The tech is advancing at such a fast rate that, to be fair, degradation will not be a word used associated with the EV motoring clan at all in the next 5 to 10 years, because they will not degrade like this thing I'm in now with this LFP battery. That's tech. It's going forward, and that's what it's all about. Well, good morning. Here we are, frunk open, GoPro getting the stuff out ready. Very useful frunk for keeping things dry. Well, welcome back to one of my local favourite haunts here at Tesco Extra, where there is free chargers, two there, and that's a pay for. Yeah, just bringing us up to this one regarding degradation and why people get so uptight about it every time they charge. Let's just nip across here a moment while there's no one around. We have a Tesla, we have a Kia, we have another Tesla, and we have what I would suggest is a hybrid. Anyway, unless it's a full EQ, I doubt it. So yeah, just a quick one of today about degradation in the batteries of cars, and I will mention the LFP battery in this Tesla of mine. So let's do it on this nice bright day. Well, hello, back inside the Model 3 now. Bit of a workstation going on here. I've got the iPad, I've got things on charge for the GoPro and everything else. So yes, degradation has been spoke about all over the internet for many years because of the scare factor from mainly non-EV owners, as I mentioned at the front of this post. So I want to clear a few things up that I know and what I've come across on a personal level, so that it becomes a bit more personal, so that it's not just out there in the media saying yes, they degrade after 3 years, the rubbish after 5, and you're spending £30,000 to replace them in 6 years. So many let's call it BS stories out there, folks, regarding this, and so I want to clear some of them up because it annoys the hell out of me on forums. So this is my third EV, and I've had quite basic EVs from the very first Nissan Leaf with a 24 kilowatt battery, through then to an i3, which was a great little car, and now onto the Model 3 here in 2022 spec. So I've been acknowledged there. Nearly 5 years in of taking a great deal of notice about EVs and actually owning them. Previous to that, as you well know, if you come to my posts quite often, you'll know that I had nearly 45 years of V8 big muscle cars and powerful gas guzzlers, which were exactly the opposite to what I'm wanting out of my motoring needs now. I've found many annoying posts on YouTube at the moment, and I know some of you find me annoying. Well, by the way, while I'm here, please subscribe if you're new to the channel and you just dropped in and this is the first minute or two of this and you're thinking, who the hell's he? Bear with me, subscribe like I say, bang on that icon, do what you've got to do to get my videos and post straight away. I do have this channel. I also run about 3 or 4 forums on Facebook, and I'm always on here talking about electric vehicles. So I think I know a tiny bit. I'm not saying I'm super knowledgeable like a lot of people out there who make a profession out of this. I don't make a profession out of this. I am now semi-retired, so I've got time to do this, and I don't answer to anybody. So it's another reason why I do my YouTube channel. So that's just to clear up that one. So yes, degradation. There's been a lot of them on YouTube just lately, being quite dramatic about what's happening with their vehicles and why they're losing maybe 6 to 10 mile in the first 2 or 3 months of ownership. Well, that's quite common. That's quite common. So I'm going to use this as my footing to explain what I've come across on degradation. First of all, this is a standard, as many of you know, this is a standard Model 3. It came to me at 3 months old. I bought it as a used product because I didn't want to wait till, wow, would have been nearly a year for a brand new one. This had about 3,800 mile on it when I got it after the 3 months of previous ownership. And on here, when I first picked it up, in this little corner of my screen, which let me just show you folks if you don't know where that normally is, it's normally here. Okay, that's the range, but the charge rate goes here. That read 270 mile. Now I've spoke to other folk with standard Model 3s from maybe a year earlier or 2 years earlier without the LFP batteries, and they've said, oh, I've never known a Model 3 standard to show 270 mile. That seems a lot. They seem to be getting around the 245 to 255 region of charge of range. Anyway, with 270 on there, I was very happy. Put in perspective of this one, this is an LFP battery pack. Now the LFP battery pack is a slightly different story from the previous one. I know it doesn't use hardly any nickel and it doesn't use any cobalt, but outside of that, it's meant to be a far safer battery. I want to say safer. I'm not a big one about fires on EVs. I don't believe on all this concept of blaming them for more fires than fossil fuel cars, because I know they don't. So anyone watching this who thinks they do, you're in a dream world. So basically what it is, the degradation I've found on this has been very, very minimal. And I know that it's always the first 5 to 10,000 miles where you do get it. They kind of like balance themselves out on the battery pack and all the cells get nice and even. LFP is chargeable to 100% whenever you want. Normal battery packs, they recommend 80% unless you're going on a long journey the day after, and you can charge it to 100% and get gone. So another bonus with the LFP battery pack is the fact that you can charge it to 100%. I always do, to be honest. Not many times, if I'm sitting on my charger at home, I do charge it to 100% most of the time. I will move off a charger, off a public charger, if I feel that someone else wants to come on board, and it's around the 85 to 90. I haven't got a problem with that. So yes, the degradation of this thing, when I had it, like I said, it was 270 showing in the top right hand corner, which I showed you earlier on. The guy who had this previously, I have no idea what he did with it. To get 270 after 3 months is exceptional. If you know different, if you've got an LFP Model 3 and you're still showing your range as 270 plus every time you charge, and it's around 5,000 mile in, drop a comment below. I'd be very intrigued. So basically what it boils down to is I'm now down to 266, and in a previous video I proved this, and I did a 200 mile plus chill mode driving time over about 5 or 6 days. It proved a few things. Go and watch it on the channel. It's here, look. Yep, that's the one there. Pick it up, have a look. It's well worth a look, especially if you're new to Teslas. It can be a bit of an educational thing. So anyway, 266. I'm still showing 266, and it's about a month since I did that video. I'm now going around the 8,200 mile margin, and I've still got the same 266 range every time I charge this. So my loss factor has now disappeared. I don't feel that I'm going to lose any more than that, and I think it's leveled now at 266, and that's where it'll pretty much stay for the time I've got this vehicle. I will have this car for at least another year. I do intend to get my very last new EV in about a year's time, when I'm officially retired, so when I'm 66, but we'll see. But this is going to take some doing to get something as good as this, with the range this has got and the tech it's got and everything else. But anyway, some people don't like Teslas purely because they're too techy. Hey ho. So yes, the degradation thing, I think folk are reading far too much into it, giving it far too much YouTube time, like I'm doing now. Now I'm going to jump back to my BMW i3. Yep, that's the one on the screen now. That was a great car. We had that, me and the wife, because my wife drove it, you know, as much as I did. And we had that for about 18 months, nearly, well, yeah, between 18 months and 2 years, can't quite remember. Sold it for the going rate. Could have got a bit more for it when I sold it, but I didn't. I let it go for what I thought was a fair price. Only used the Rex twice in it, because it was a Rex model. But that i3 was showing 0 degradation. Now, there was a few percentage loss, I would grant you that. It was 40-something thousand when I sold it, but every single charge kind of gave me the same. So I didn't see any degradation in that thing over an 18-month to nearly 2-year period. What did happen was that I totally decided that I wanted more range. That i3, because it was the 94 amp hour battery pack, about 33 kilowatt, you lose about 3 or 4. So really it had the potential of a 29 kilowatt battery pack. I used to get range on that of around 100 plus in the winter to about 130 in the summer. If you drove it like a vicar, real easy, and you did a little more town driving than you did distance, you could push it to about 140 mile if you were very lucky. This is a different ball game. This is a lot more range. It's probably double that nearly. I won't say it's not far off double. It's at least another 100 mile range. And that's what I wanted, and that's why I left the i3 behind. Previous to that, let's go back one more, folks, and again, you'd have seen this on the channel. I had a Nissan Leaf, 24 kilowatt hour Leaf. Great car, super smooth to drive, nippish off the mark, kind of at the range when you was doing above 55, 60. If you were doing 70 plus, whatever speed you do, folks, is not my concern down the motorways of the UK. If you were doing 70 to 80, for example, you were eating that battery like no tomorrow. You would get a lot less range than you really thought, and it said on that dial. We made that one mistake once going up to Sheffield, up the motorway here in the UK. But anyway, that's a different story. But the Nissan was the smallest battery I've ever owned, and if you're getting into EVs, it's a great one to get into first. Brewing for grocery getting and all the rest of it, school runs and, you know, 15, 20, 30 mile an hour round trips, superb. All done on zero emissions out the exhaust, don't forget. And it still will save you fuel money. The degradation stories and panic station mode that you get from these non-EV owners, for example, pretty much does come from that Nissan Leaf of early days. Although a great car, they did degrade. Now, they only degraded because of the BMS system. They didn't have one, and that's a battery management system. They were totally air-cooled. So as you're going along, it's been air-cooled, and the air cooling system weren't great. So in the winter, it was getting too cold, and in the summer, it was getting too hot. That's what gave you the degradation of these early Nissan Leafs. And even the Nissan Leaf made today is still very, very basic when it comes to its BMS system. Has it got one? Well, that's a question. The i3 and Teslas, and even the Hyundais and Kias have far better BMS systems, far better, more modern, far better battery packs because of the BMS system. Me personally, I don't know to anybody who's actually had to replace their battery pack. Well, this wraps this one up today regarding degradation. Hopefully it's helped a few people out there to understand why you shouldn't really worry too much about it. As time goes on and as EVs go on and forward into the future, degradation won't be a word that's mentioned against EVs, and it's only because of the very early ones, as I said before, the Nissan Leafs and the very early ones with no BMS system, that have kind of given them a bad rap. ICE drivers use this as a tool not to own an EV, which is a great shame because they don't know what they're missing. So thanks for watching. Like I say, I have mentioned it before, please subscribe, press on the icon bell, ding ding, make it happen, and we'll see you on the next one.